when life felt like a dead end. There was a time in my life when I genuinely believed that nothing good could ever happen to me. Every morning felt like a repeat of the last. The same routine, the same thoughts, the same dull ache inside that whispered, "You're not going anywhere." I'd wake up, drag myself out of bed, look at my reflection and think, what's the point? At that time, I wasn't broke financially, but I was bankrupt mentally. My mind was filled with self-doubt, fear, and the constant comparison to others. I would scroll through social media and see people my age buying cars, traveling the world, or smiling in group photos, while I was just existing. I wasn't living. I was surviving on autopilot. My job was okay, but it didn't excite me. My relationships were shallow because I didn't really let anyone in. And deep down, I was angry. Angry at the world, at circumstances, and most of all, at myself. I blamed luck, timing, and even fate for how my life turned out. But I never once questioned my own mindset. It's strange looking back now, how powerful our thoughts are, how they can either build us up or quietly destroy us from the inside. But at that time, I didn't understand that. I just thought life was unfair, and I had been given the short end of the stick. One evening, I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, lights off, phone in hand, scrolling endlessly. I came across an old friend's post. He had just started his own business and was sharing his story about believing in himself. I scoffed and muttered, "Easy for him to say." But as much as I wanted to brush it off, something about that post hit me differently. It wasn't jealousy this time, it was realization. I realized that everyone I admired had something in common. It wasn't luck, it wasn't intelligence, it wasn't even money. It was belief. They believed they could do it, long before they actually did. And I didn't. That night, I lay awake for hours thinking, what if my life wasn't bad? What if it was my thinking that made it feel that way? I remembered how, as a kid, I used to dream big. I wanted to travel, to create, to do something meaningful. But somewhere along the way, I stopped dreaming. I let fear and failure shape my world. I started replaying memories in my head. Times when I gave up too easily. Times when I talked myself out of opportunities because I thought I wasn't too ready or good enough. And it dawned on me. I had been my own worst enemy all along. The next morning felt no different. But something inside me had shifted, even if slightly. I looked in the mirror and said out loud, "This can't be it. There has to be more." It wasn't a powerful affirmation or a motivational speech. It was more like a desperate whisper from my soul. But it was real. That day, I went to work and started observing people. Some were miserable like me, but others looked genuinely happy. Not because they had perfect lives, but because they seemed to carry a certain light inside them, a sense of purpose, and I wanted that. I realized that I had been waiting for something external to fix my life. A new job, a lucky break, a relationship, anything. But the truth hit me hard. Nothing was going to change until I did. And that ease when I made a quiet promise to myself. I would change the way I thought, even if it took time. I didn't know how, and I didn't know where to start, but I knew one thing. My current mindset had brought me here, and if I wanted to go somewhere new, I'd have to change it. It was a scary realization, but it was also freeing. For the first time in years, I stopped blaming the world. I stopped asking, why me? And started asking, what can I do about it? That single shift, that small question, became the seed of everything that followed. I didn't know it then, but that night, sitting in the dark, was the exact moment when my life quietly began to change. The moment that shook my perspective. After that night of quiet realization, I didn't suddenly wake up a new person. I still struggled with doubt, laziness, and fear, but something deep inside me had started to question everything. For the first time, I wasn't blindly accepting my thoughts as truth. I began noticing how negative my inner voice was. Every time I thought, "You can't do this," I asked myself, "Why not?" Weeks passed like that. Small sparks of awareness, followed by the same routine. But then came the day that truly shook my perspective. The day everything I believed about myself was challenged. It was a Sunday morning. I was meeting an old college friend, Daniel, someone I hadn't seen in years. Back in college, we were both dreamers, talking for hours about plans, startups, and living life on our own terms. But after graduation, Daniel actually did it. He moved to another city, took risks, and built something for himself. I, on the other hand, played it safe. A steady job, predictable life, no chances taken. When I saw him again, he looked different. Not just in appearance, but in energy. There was confidence in his voice, calmness in his presence. We sat down for coffee, and as we talked, I couldn't help but feel the gap between us. Not in success, but in mindset. He asked me how I'd been, and I gave my usual answer. You know, just working, trying to figure things out. He smiled kindly, but didn't say much. Then I asked about his journey, and he told me how he had failed multiple times before things finally started to work. "I lost almost everything at one point," he said casually. "But I learned something. The only thing that keeps you stuck is your own belief that you are stuck." That line hit me like a thunderbolt. I must have gone silent for a minute because he laughed and said, "You okay?" But I wasn't. I was shaken, because I realized that I had spent years telling myself I was trapped. Trapped by circumstances, by fear, by bad luck, when in reality, the cage was built by my own thoughts. After that meeting, I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. The only thing that keeps you stuck is your own belief that you are stuck. It replayed in my head like a broken record. That night, I wrote it down on a sticky note and stuck it on my mirror. I didn't fully believe it yet, but I wanted to. Over the next few days, I started reflecting on my habits. I realized how automatic my negativity was. I'd wake up and instantly think, "Ugh, another day." I'd see someone doing well and think, "They're just lucky." I'd get an idea and immediately kill it with thoughts like, "It won't work." I had built a mental wall so tall that nothing new could get through, but now I was slowly chipping away at it. One night, after work, I decided to try something new. I turned off my phone, sat down with a notebook, and asked myself one question. If I didn't let fear stop me, what would I actually want to do with my life? At first, my mind went blank. It had been so long since I'd allowed myself to dream freely. But slowly, words started to appear on the page. Create, travel, inspire, teach. None of it was about money or fame. It was about meaning. I wanted to live a life that felt alive. I looked at those words and realized something else. I didn't need to know how to get there yet. I just needed to believe it was possible. That was the difference between me and people like Daniel. They believed before the proof existed. That single idea, believing before seeing, changed how I viewed everything. I started testing it. I'd tell myself, "You can handle this," even when I didn't feel like it. I'd say, "Things are working in my favor," even when they weren't. At first, it felt fake, but over time, it started to shift something inside me. One day, I was sitting at work when my boss asked if anyone wanted to take the lead on a small project. Normally, I would have avoided it, afraid of messing up. But this time, before my mind could stop me, I raised my hand. My heart was pounding, but I did it anyway. And you know what? It went great. That one small decision, saying yes when I was scared, gave me a rush I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't about the project itself. It was about the realization that I had been living under self-imposed limits. Every no I had ever said to opportunities wasn't protection. It was fear disguised as logic. That night when I came home, I looked at the sticky note on my mirror again and smiled. For the first time, I didn't just read the words, I believed them. The shift wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, almost invisible. but it was real. That was the moment I understood. Life doesn't change when circumstances improve. It changes when you do. And I was finally starting to change. Rewiring my mind. One thought at a time. Once I realized that my thoughts were the real barriers holding me back, I decided to take control of them. It wasn't easy. It felt like trying to untangle a web that had been growing for years. But I knew if I wanted real change, it had to start from the inside. The first step I took was awareness. Every time I caught myself thinking negatively, I didn't fight it. I just noticed it. For example, when I thought, "You're not good enough," I'd stop and ask, "Who told me that? Where did that thought come from?" Usually, there was no real answer. It was just an echo from the past. Something I had repeated so many times that it felt like truth. I started keeping a small notebook with me everywhere I went. I called it my Mind Reset Journal. Whenever I felt low or discouraged, I'd write down what I was thinking, and then I'd challenge it. If I wrote, "I'm never going to make it," I'd counter it with, "But what if I do?" That one question, "What if I do?" became my new mantra. It opened doors in my mind I never knew existed. It gave me permission to imagine possibilities instead of limitations. At first, it felt mechanical, even forced, but slowly it became natural. I began noticing how many times in a day I used to talk myself out of things. Now, instead of quitting before I even tried, I'd experiment. I stopped expecting perfection and started valuing progress. One of the most powerful exercises I did was visualization. Every morning before work, I'd close my eyes for a few minutes and imagine the life I wanted. Confident, calm, and doing something meaningful. I didn't just see it, I felt it. I felt the emotions of that future version of me. Gratitude, excitement, peace. It might sound strange, but over time, those emotions started to appear in my real life. It was like I was training my brain to experience joy before any external reason existed for it. And once I began to feel better, I started acting differently. More confident, more hopeful, more open. I also started feeding my mind with new information. Instead of wasting hours scrolling on social media, I replaced that time with audiobooks, podcasts, and motivational videos. People like Jay Shetty, Mel Robbins, and Jim Rohn became my new virtual mentors. Their words became fuel for my new mindset. One day, while listening to a podcast, I heard a quote that hit me hard. "Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers, or you can grow weeds." That sentence stuck with me. Every time a negative thought popped up, I imagined it as a weed trying to take root in my mind. And I'd consciously replace it with a flower, a thought that empowered me instead of draining me. But change isn't linear. Some days, I slipped back into old habits. Some mornings, I woke up and felt that same heaviness return, and I'd think, maybe I'm not changing after all. But then I remembered something Daniel told me. Growth isn't T about never falling back. It's C about not staying there when you do. So instead of beating myself up, I'd start again, every single day. Even if I messed up, I told myself, tomorrow I'll do 1% better. And those small improvements began to stack up in ways I couldn't imagine. Within a few months, people around me started to notice. My coworkers said I seemed different, more positive, more focused. Friends asked what changed, and I'd just smile and say, my mindset. I began taking small risks that scared me before. Volunteering to speak at work meetings, sharing creative ideas, reaching out to people I admired. Some things worked, some didn't. But the biggest change was that I was no longer afraid to try. I also learned the power of gratitude. Every night, before going to bed, I wrote down 3 things I was thankful for. Some days, it was something big, like completing a project. Other days, it was as simple as a good cup of coffee or a kind word from someone. This simple habit shifted my focus from what was missing in my life to what was already there. And here's what surprised me most. The more grateful I felt, the more good things started to happen. Not because magic suddenly appeared, but because I was finally noticing the opportunities that were always around me. Rewiring my mind wasn't an overnight transformation. It was a process of consistent, conscious effort, choosing better thoughts one moment at a time. But slowly, my external world began to mirror my internal change. I started sleeping better, smiling more, and waking up with purpose. I realized that the voice inside my head could either be my best friend or my worst enemy, and it was up to me which one I allowed to speak louder. Looking back, I can confidently say this: my life didn't change when I found success. I found success when I changed my mind. The old me would have never believed that mindset could make such a difference. But now, living it every day, I understand. Your thoughts truly shape your reality, and I was finally learning how to build mine. The transformation. I never expected. I didn't realize how much I had changed until one ordinary morning when everything suddenly felt different. The sun wasn't brighter, my room wasn't cleaner, and my life wasn't magically perfect, but my perspective had shifted completely. For the first time in years, I woke up excited about the day ahead. Not because of some big event, but because I had learned to create meaning in even the smallest things. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It was slow, almost invisible. But one day, I looked back and realized I was no longer that person who complained, doubted, and blamed the world. I had become someone who took responsibility, who found lessons in struggles, and who kept moving forward no matter what. It all started showing up in subtle ways. I began noticing how I reacted to challenges. When something went wrong, instead of saying, "Why me?" I started asking, "What is this teaching me?" That simple shift turned every obstacle into an opportunity for growth. At work, my performance improved, not because I became smarter, but because I was calmer and more focused. I stopped being afraid of failure. I started seeing every mistake as feedback, not proof that I wasn't good enough. That mindset earned me new projects, more trust from my team, and even a promotion I never expected. Outside of work, things changed too. My relationships deepened. When I stopped expecting others to make me happy, I learned how to be happy with them, not because of them. I started listening more, judging less, and appreciating people for who they were instead of what they could offer me. Even my health began to improve. I used to be tired all the time, physically and mentally, but as my mind cleared, my energy came back. I began exercising regularly, eating better, sleeping well. It wasn't forced. It felt natural, like my body was finally aligning with my new mindset. One of the most powerful moments came a few months later when I visited my old college campus. I walked through the same hallways where I used to dream big but never acted. I sat on the same bench where I once told myself I'd never amount to anything. But this time, I smiled, because I finally understood. The version of me who once felt lost wasn't weak. He was just unaware of his power. Standing there, I realized that every painful moment, every failure, every night I doubted myself. It all had a purpose. It led me here, to a place of awareness, gratitude, and peace. The person I had become wasn't someone who never fell. It was someone who learned to rise every time he did. A few weeks later, something unexpected happened. Daniel, the same friend who had inspired me months ago, called and asked if I wanted to collaborate on a small project he was starting. Something creative, something meaningful. The old me would have hesitated, afraid I wasn't ready. But this time, I didn't think twice. I said yes. Working on that project reignited a fire inside me. I began using my experiences to create content, writing, speaking, and sharing my story online. I didn't do it for fame or money. I did it because I wanted to help others who felt the way I once did. Lost, hopeless, stuck. The messages that started coming in were overwhelming. People thanked me for sharing my journey, for reminding them that change is possible. That's when it truly hit me. My story, once filled with pain and confusion, had become someone else's motivation. My struggles had turned into strength, not just for me, but for others too. That realization brought me to tears, because for so long, I thought my life had no meaning. But it did. I just couldn't see it through the fog of my old mindset. Today, I still have bad days. I still doubt myself sometimes. But the difference is, I don't stay there. I don't sink back into the old patterns of fear and self-pity. I remind myself of one simple truth. Your thoughts create your world. I learned that changing your mindset doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means shaping how you respond to it. Life will always throw challenges your way, but with the right mindset, you stop being a victim of circumstances and become the creator of your destiny. If someone had told me a few years ago that my entire life could change just by changing the way I think, I would have laughed. But now, standing here, living proof of it, I can say with full confidence, it's true. The mindset that changed everything for me wasn't about constant positivity or fake optimism. It was about responsibility, awareness, and belief. It was realizing that I had the power to design my life, thought by thought, action by action, day by day. And that is the message I want to leave you with. You don't need to wait for perfect circumstances to change your life. You just need to decide, right now, to start thinking differently. Because the moment you do, everything else begins to follow. That's how I changed my life. That's how you can too.